I want to bring you in close and let you see what the tomatoes look like, more or less like this for most of them. You can see the old damaged foliage here, and then as we go up here they're starting to kick into gear and look pretty healthy. The majority of them look like this. I've got some that are still struggling a little bit, but a lot of them are even starting to flower. I've got some there, one there, one here, got one over here. Well, there's several places down there, and there's several places out there in the tomatoes, but the tomatoes are starting to look great, which is, I'm very happy. Each fawn is located underneath one bar, and that kind of presents a problem that I had to think about quite a bit on how I'm going to have the tomatoes grow up, tomatoes and cucumbers. So I had to think about that for a little bit, and this is what I came up with. See, the fawn is 2 foot wide, right? And the plants themselves are 12 inches apart, and there's 2 in each one. So I couldn't combine them into one to go up to that bar without a lot of congestion. So I thought of all kinds of different ways to separate them and manufacture that and all that, and there are a whole lot of tomatoes in here. It would have taken me a long time to fabricate it. So I got to thinking, is there anything that's already made that'll do that for me? And I found the solution thanks to my wife. And this is what I came up with. My wife had bought these somewhat recently, and then she bought some more. We liked them so much because they're velvet hangers. They're called velvet, and they have a little spot here for women's straps or whatever women use, but they're also, they don't slide, like a lot of the ones we had before were plastic, and the shirts and stuff don't slide off. Anyway, that has nothing to do with it other than once I tie the tomato twine onto it, it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay there, and it's slim and it's durable. It'll certainly hold tomatoes up. So that's what I did. You can see that as it goes up, it's the perfect width. It kind of keeps them a little bit separated, and it keeps you from, it doesn't go out into the aisle too much, and it is a whole lot easier than having to fabricate something myself. But yeah, I know it's a little redneck or unconventional, whatever you want to call it, but honestly, I like it, and I like it a lot. And you can see all the strings here. Now the tomatoes have something to grow up, and I'm not the type of grower that lets them come down. What I do is when they get up a good bit of height, I'll start a sucker, and I'll just replace a whole tomato plant once it gets too far along with its own sucker, or a sucker of a tomato plant that I like better, especially with my breeding work. So that's my plan, and that's what I'm doing with stringing tomatoes. I think the hangers were 15 or 20 bucks for 50 of them. Came in one package, one box, and I was 5 short, so I ended up using 5 of the wife's black ones. So all you guys, please don't tell Gina that I used 5 of her hangers in the greenhouse. I will be in hot water. These are what my broccoli and cabbage look like. The first one there is a broccoli, and this one's a cabbage. The broccoli is green sprouting, and the cabbage is golden acre for variety. And they're all looking pretty darn good, actually. If you have been with me a long time, for years, I've grown to maturity broccoli and cabbage in a gutter alone with nothing else. So that's what I'm attempting to do within the fawn 2s here, is grow them completely within the gutters. And when these tomatoes get a little taller, they will act for bracing, especially for the broccoli. This is plant number 5. It's a selection. I've got a lot of tomatoes behind me that are growing, at the offspring of this particular one, actually. And I like this tomato quite a bit. And one of the things that I liked about it was the color and the shape. just like this. It has a potential name of baby beef, and it's because it tastes really good, and it's only about this size here. 30 grams, 25 to 30 grams in weight from the fruit. But this was in the winter greenhouse, and I brought it out here, and it's growing nicely now. Now, I crossed this one, back crossed it to not Big Beef, Big Zack, and this is the actual one I crossed it back to. And what I'm trying to do here is get some of the qualities of my cherry tomato. By the way, that's a cross between, this one is a cross between Big Zack and my cherry tomato, which is a multiflora, meaning a lot of flowers. But this is what it produced. It's just getting started in the growing season as far as what tomatoes like environmentally, heat and all that, but I'm liking the way it looks. But I back crossed it to the Big Zack there, and what I'm hoping to do is pull some bigger tomatoes out of it with good production. And this is a cross between Donovan's Red, which is a breeding of mine, and my cherry tomato as well. And you can look at all the flowers on that. It's got quite a bit of flowers, and this is what the size of it. It's a saladette size, and hopefully I can develop that some more. Most of my cucumbers are here in the first fawn, and they've been in here a few days, and they don't look real great right now, but you can see that it looks like they're trying to improve, and I hope that they do. The new foliage is looking good. But I'm going to grow them up a string, 2 per pot in here, but I've also got 2 in each pot over here that I'm going to do the wrapping technique like you saw me do in the winter greenhouse. I have lots of cucurbits. I've got melons. There are several different kinds of melons here, and I've got squash, lots of different kinds of squash here and back there, and those are all waiting to go out to the garden. And it won't be too much longer. That plus all these tomatoes here, they all need to go out, and they're pretty good size. You can see the solo cup. They'll survive a long time on that little bit, but that's a pretty big plant. It needs to be planted outside in the ground garden. Additionally, in this particular old fawn one, basically I'm using as to bottom feed water. I've got some okra there. I'm growing out the okra to save Don's seed, my Uncle Don's seed. That's a particular variety that was really interesting he gave me. I want to make sure I have seed that's good with that still. And because we're not huge okra eaters, that's the reason why I say that. But we have family that are. So we're going to grow out 3 or 4 of those. And we're going to obviously harvest them and save seed. But I've got lots of peppers here, a couple more tomatoes, and those are the old cabbages. But I've also got eggplant here that I need to plant out in the garden as well, the ground garden. This is my corn. We'll go back in time and show you planting and putting them over here. I had brought out the corn from the heated greenhouse out here to the big greenhouse, and I set it in the gutter there so it could get water from underneath. And it is time to plant them out. They're good enough size now where I can plant them out in containers. So I'm going to plant 3 in each container and grow them in the greenhouse in here. The way I'm going to plant them though is that so the leaves are oriented this way, so they're less likely just to crowd each other. And I don't know if this is helpful or not as far as the plant perception. If they're not, touching and hitting each other all the time, will they grow better? I don't know. It's worth a shot though, and it'll surely be a better looking container grow if they're oriented the same way. I planted 10 containers of corn. 9 of them have 3 in it. The 10th one has the scragglers, and there's 6 in there. And it's also nothing but aged composted rice hulls. And I've found that they usually saturate and stay wet a lot longer than the mix next to it. So more corn should be able to should be able to maintain more corn, but I'm not sure if they're going to get enough aeration this way. But we're going to just see what happens, because we can. It's just kind of cool. And this is my favorite part, watering it in. Oh me, this has been 10 today. A lot of other things going on today. It's been a very productive day. I've got 2 pots of sweet candle carrots. I got this one here and this one here, and you can see that the foliage has all returned. I had chopped it off at one point, but it is returned and it's all doing fantastic now. This is Joe's bottle gourd, Joe and Meg, and she was fantastic to give me those seeds. I got all 3 that I attempted to sprout. They all grew, and I tossed one of them, the weaker of the 3, because I only wanted to grow 2. I'm going to attempt to do wrapping, but these bottle gourds, from looking at hers, are pretty aggressive. So if they end up being that aggressive, what I'll do is I'll just take tomato twine and go across the bracing in the greenhouse and let it grow on that. Here are 2 of yams, purple yam and white yam, and there's a story behind that. I'll share that story with you now. Joe sent me some yams. I got a purple one and a white one, and that was very, very thoughtful of her. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant them up, but before I do that, I'm going to section these and let the skins dry, and then we'll plant them up. So I'll bring you back in just a second and show you. Yeah, it's pretty easy to see which one's purple and which one's white. Alright, so yeah, we're going to leave these in the house for 2 or 3 days, and we're going to let these skins, or let the wet part skin up like a potato, and then we'll plant them in shallow dirt for them to sprout, and then we'll plant them in some pots. Alright, today we're going to plant up the yams, and I'm going to plant them up how I usually plant things in the fawn system. I'm going to use the buckets and a cage over the top. Now here's that yams. I got the purple and the white there, and they have dried up pretty good. In fact, I'm worried they dried too much. But we'll see. We're going to plant them. Those 3 little pieces in one container and the other 3 in the other container, and we'll plant them kind of like we do potatoes, you know. I don't really know how to grow these, but we're going to give it a shot. There's the white, and there's the purple, and there they are in the new home with the cage and labeled purple yam, white yam. Hopefully they'll sprout. Here are the yams that Joe gave me, and they are not coming up. It's been well over a month now, probably 2 months. So I feel like I failed. I probably should not have cut them like I did. But the yam thing is so intriguing to me that I decided to go ahead and order some more. There's no way I could have asked Joe for some more. So I went ahead and ordered more purple yam, and I ordered a white yam that was the closest I could think of that would come to the white yam that she gave me. And here they are. You got the purple yam, which is the same species that she'd told me about, and you also have one called a Caribbean soft yam, and you can tell that that one's a white. So we're going to plant these up, and maybe they'll grow. And so I emptied the containers out in here, and this is all I found in here. Sorry Joe, I screwed up. These aren't going to make. This one's mush, and I got a little piece here, it's also mush. A little piece here. I'm not sure if you're in the camera, so I'll show again, but yeah, those are not going to come up. So I screwed up, Joe. Sorry. I'm going to try to do it well, successfully this time. Alright, I rewatched Joe's video on how to plant these, and she says to plant them root down with this face over, but then she covers it, which is what I'm going to do too. But I got most of the basic mix that I'm using which is parboiled rice hulls that you see here. 50% of it is aged rice hulls, 25% is peat moss, and then the other 25% is this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer of extra drainage over the cut here, just like so, and then I'll cover it. And I'm hoping that that'll help make sure that that cut piece isn't too moist and it rots again. And yeah, I really don't know what I'm doing with this, but this is what I'm doing. Okay, after I put the parboiled in, I filled it another couple inches. And I'm just going to water it in thoroughly one time, and I'm going to monitor it. I'm not going to overwater it. And I'm going to monitor it for moisture, make sure it's moist. And hopefully we will get some sprouts pretty soon. That would be nice. I've got 2 grapes that I'm growing in containers. I've got one here, and I've got one back over in the corner over, well, let me get my finger in there right. Yeah, right there. And they are right next to this pole here. And grapevines, they'll get pretty long. So what I'm thinking about doing here is letting them grow up this pole here and tying them off and let them kind of hang and dangle over in this area here, and we'll see how that works. And the same on the other side. In the far back corner over here, I've got 4 containers of spinach, and I'll show you planting those up. Alright, today we are going to plant some spinach, specifically Bloomsdale Longstanding. I get this seed from Todd Seeds. I was going to grow it as a microgreen, and as usual, spinach is very sporadic and difficult to grow, at least for me, as a microgreen. I tried it several times, it didn't work out. Just the germination was not worth it, the low germination. So what we're going to do is we're going to plant these in containers, and we're going to eat it like most people eat spinach. We're going to grow it up and munch on the leaves. This is a 2-part to the greens that I like. I like the turnip greens that I grow. It's not a turnip type turnip green, it's a leaf type turnip green, and mixed with the spinach here. And this is the first part. Spinach takes a lot longer to grow than the turnip greens, so what we're going to do is we're going to plant 4 containers of spinach today. The methodology is really easy. I'm just going to grab a handful and we're just going to sprinkle them on here. And there's quite a bit there, and when they germinate, I will put somewhere between 5 and 7 plants, thin it down to that much. And the reason why is I want big leaves, nice big leaves instead of the baby leaf. I might leave one as a baby leaf, but we'll see. So I'll just do that again with this one. Can't get easier than that, huh? Move it over. Do that one as well. And finally the last one. Alright, that's it. Now we're going to put some covers on top and put them in a shaded area until they germinate. Alright, we put a thin layer of the same stuff on top, same medium, and the medium is aged rice hulls, 75%, and 25% parboiled rice hulls. And I am going to water this in thoroughly. I'll just do a little bit for you instead of going through all this watering on camera. It's very soothing. Oh me. And then we'll put the plastic on top. I used the same thing I did with planting the carrots. It's greenhouse plastic that I cut in the shape of the containers to put on top until they germinate, just to keep the moisture in and help with germination. And there it is with the plastic on top. Now I put it in a shaded area because if it was in the direct sun, that would just become an oven. It would cook it. So let's wait for germination and see what happens. Right here next to the grape, I've got 2 containers of peas, and these are Oregon Giants. And I've grown these successfully in this type of grow, and I'll show you me planting those up. Alright, we're planting peas in containers, and I've done this many times. It's a proven method for me. And what I did was I planted them around the edge here, and I'm going to put a cage over it, and they'll grow up the cage just like that one over there with the peppers. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to cover this, water it in, and cage it. And these are the peas home for now. Just water it in. So there you go, guys. That's enough for this greenhouse update. Actually, it's quite a bit. And it's kind of some things that are going on with my breeding work. All the tomatoes are breeding work. My cucumbers are actually breeding work. I'm doing some interesting things with the potatoes over there. That's what they look like. I've cut those back for reasons I'll share later. And I've got tomatoes that are my breeding work over there. And yeah, just a lot of stuff going on here as far as breeding goes. And of course, we're going to eat it. Anyway, this is Brent, you guys. We will see you later. Did you know you can subscribe to me? Check it out. Click right here on the subscribe button. See that? It's got a little check next to it. If you click on the little bell to the right of it, it'll bring up a little notification that says send me all notifications for the channel every time I make a video. Click save. You'll get an email notification that I have made a new video. This is for those who don't know. Thanks for watching. You guys take care.